One of the most influential storytellers of our time, filmmaker, explorer, and visionary.
James Cameron is considered one of Hollywood's most successful directors of all time.
So everyone, please help me welcome this Disney legend, James Cameron.
Thank you so much.
We all know James Cameron as the man behind some of the biggest movies of all time. Avatar, Titanic, Terminator, an Oscar-winning director, a record breaker. But here is the real question. What actually made him James Cameron? Was it talent, obsession, the way he sees the world? Hi, I'm Elsa, and today, instead of breaking down his films, we are going deeper into his life. Because the truth is, Avatar didn't come out of nowhere. In this video you will learn 7 facts about James Cameron, about his mindset, personal life, his connection with nature, and that will completely change how you see his movies. No spoilers, let's get into it. Before James Cameron became James Cameron, he worked as a truck driver and janitor in California. No film degree, no industry connections. That was in his 20s. After dropping out of college, he worked as a truck driver, and he used that job to support himself financially while self-teaching filmmaking at night. He spent hours in the USC library learning about cinematography, video effects, lighting, basically building his own film school for himself from scratch. So as you see, he started in filmmaking when he was already an adult, and he even calls himself a late bloomer. And he didn't break into Hollywood, he engineered his way in. Let's get into his personal life now. James Cameron has been married 5 times, and this fact often gets misunderstood. He married his 5th wife, Susie Amis Cameron, in the year 2000, and now they've been together for almost 3 decades. In an industry and in our world as well, where long relationships are so rare, that says a lot. To me, it also shows someone who hasn't given up on love, even after a few failed marriages. Cameron also a father of 5 children. 3 of them are with Susie, and they've also together taken on a guardianship role for a teenage girl. And Susie herself has a son from a previous marriage, so it's a big blended family. And Susie Amis Cameron isn't just the director's wife. She is a former actress turned environmental leader. She's an outspoken advocate for sustainability, plant-based living, and education. And honestly, when I learned this, Avatar started to look a bit different to me. The value of big family, biological and adopted kids, this deep bond with nature, and also strong female figure like Neytiri. It suddenly feels less like science fiction and more like something deeply personal. And here is the fact that sounds almost unreal, but it's true. James Cameron was very close to going to space. In the late 1990s, he became deeply involved in preparations for a possible space flight. He wanted to visit stations Mir, an international space station. He spent the summer of the year 2000 in Moscow getting ready for a potential trip to space, and NASA did eventually offer him a seat on a space shuttle mission. However, this trip did not include a visit to the space station, which was the entire point for Cameron. So he turned down that offer. But the shuttle flight he turned down was the tragic Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. In 2003, this shuttle disintegrated during re-entry, killing all 7 astronauts on board. Cameron later attended the memorial service, openly acknowledging how close he had come to being on that flight. And if you thought here, thanks God, Cameron would probably disagree with you. And here is why. He grew up in a religious environment, but he walked away from it as a teenager. For a while he described himself as agnostic, until later on he called this position cowardly atheism. He doesn't believe in organized religion. He identifies as a secular humanist. But calling James Cameron simply atheist would not be completely right. Because while he rejects religion, he is deeply interested in consciousness, meaning, connection. Cameron often talks about interconnected systems, about humanity as part of something much larger, but not in a mystical or religious sense, but grounded in science and nature. That's the heart of Avatar. Not theology, not believing in God, but awe at nature, awe at ecosystems, at the idea that life, whether human, animal or planetary, is fundamentally interconnected. Another thing that often surprises people about James Cameron is this. Since 2012, he's been fully plant-based. And when it came to Avatar sequels, he didn't separate his lifestyle from his work. On set, the production offered exclusively vegan catering. Everything from pizza to Thai food to Mexican cuisine, all plant-based, no bland healthy food stereotype. But no one was forced. Cast and crew were free to eat wherever they want. If you are telling a story about ecological balance, interconnectedness, and respect to nature, then your production has to live by the same rules. For Cameron, it wasn't about image or trends, it was about alignment between values, personal health, and planetary impact. He's been very open about why he made this switch. Partly for the environment, seeing plant-based food as one of the most immediate ways to reduce ecological damage, and partly for stamina and health, which he needs for projects that take decades and push the human body to its limits. This philosophy goes beyond Avatar. Cameron also produced the main plant-based documentaries like The Game Changers and Eating You Alive, projects that challenge how we think about food, performance, and long-term health. Probably you heard that James Cameron is Canadian. If so, you are only half right. He was born and raised in Canada, but now his identity is more complex than that. In the early 2000s, Cameron actually applied for the US citizenship, but after George Bush won the 2004 presidential election, he withdrew his application.
No, absolutely not. Not interested. I did think about it for a while because I thought there was a lot of nobility in the quote-unquote American democratic experiment. But where the hell did that go? I'm over it.
Instead, Cameron chose a different path. He settled in New Zealand, bought land there and built a life deeply connected to nature, not Hollywood. After living and working in the country for years, he was formally granted New Zealand citizenship last year, making him officially a citizen of 2 countries now. And finally, let's talk about the trait that defines James Cameron more than anything else: his obsessive perfectionism. People call him demanding, sometimes even a dictator. But the people who actually worked with him tell a different story. Sigourney Weaver once said,
"Somehow Jim picks people who will absolutely go the limit to serve the film. He's very demanding, but he demands the most of himself."
Jamie Lee Curtis says he understands every department on set so deeply that he can outthink the experts. Cameron pushes projects to extremes: rainforests, underwater tanks, years of waiting for technology to catch up, because for him, done is meaningless. Only right matters. He even jokes that he is not a perfectionist, he is a rightist. This relentless refusal to compromise is why his movies don't just look real, they feel real. From his personal life to his obsession of getting every detail right, it's clear why his movies are the way they are. If you enjoy this peek behind the scenes of his life and mind, subscribe and I see you.